Welcome to another Sleepy Sunday. My name is Jeremy and welcome to my channel. My parents always used to say when I was younger, what do you have to be depressed about? You have nothing to be depressed about. Your life is perfect. Depression can happen from all ages, from very early childhood to as old as you possibly can imagine to live for. It is something that affects a lot of people across the world. It is not just a specific group or age. My cat right now is depressed because he doesn't like our other cat. He's a monster. Depression is one of those things that a lot of people have that nobody talks about, and I don't understand why. I do suffer from bouts of depression. I have for most of my life, and I am completely aware of where that feeling comes from, but it doesn't go away. Depression is one of those things that, even if you're being treated for, doesn't necessarily not be there. Depression is a lot of chemical imbalances and things that are shooting off in places that they shouldn't be and at times that they shouldn't be, and your brain isn't, the chemicals in your brain are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that is no fault of your own. When my depression hits me, it's kind of like a wave in the ocean. You're kind of just sitting there and everything's calm and everything's fine, and then suddenly a big wave comes and you're suddenly soaking wet and you didn't even see the wave coming. It just happened. Like when a guy doesn't tell you that he's coming. Can you leave your brother alone? Hunter, he's literally not doing anything to you. He's literally standing here biting me. He's in a bad mood. Depression is one of those things for me that doesn't necessarily have to have a trigger. It just happens out of nowhere and I feel completely isolated, and it feels like everything is zooming around me and I have absolutely no control. And sometimes the easiest way, oh my goodness. You really need to calm down. You need to take a breather. Depression can occur differently with different people. There's different types of steps that you can take. You could go to therapy and you could talk to a counselor and work on whatever it is that's making you upset and try to resolve those issues. If that doesn't help, you can go the next step and take medication. Now, the unfortunate thing with medication is that because it's so trial and error, you don't know what will work for you because every medication will work differently with your body. So I wanted to give you guys a couple of facts about depression today that I found online that I think will really be helpful. Depression distorts your thinking, so sometimes you may feel like hurting yourself in a bout of depression, and if you ever feel that, please, please, please don't harm yourself in any way. There are so many hotlines and numbers that you can call. I will do my best to see if I can find like just a general suicide prevention hotline number and have that in the link below, because that is something that you should have. If you know that you are prone to depression, you should have that number saved in your phone or in a little like Rolodex somewhere that you can pick up that number and call it whenever you're feeling like you're having those moments, because you don't want to take your life away because you're having a moment where you feel like the world is falling apart, because it's not worth it to take your life. You're worth so much and you are so important. Do not take yourself out of the world because of a moment in time where you feel that you can't handle it anymore. It gets easier to manage over time as you learn the right steps, but don't do that. Please, please, please. Depression makes you selfish because it's hard to think about other people when you are just so sad and thinking about your own situation, and that is nothing to be ashamed about because it is the way that your brain is processing your situation, and how you kind of have to survive. Depression is experienced as anxiety about 65% of the time, which is a pretty huge number. That is over half the time that you are experiencing depression, you will experience symptoms of anxiety. So if you are looking into any kind of medication, definitely talk to your doctor about anxiety medication, because that will severely help with the process of your depression. Persistent irritability can be a possible symptom of depression. I know for me, I get very irritable when I don't eat and when I don't get enough sleep, and depression for me causes me to not want to eat and not want to sleep. So I become doubly irritable because I'm not doing the things that I know for me I need to be doing. Whatever you know triggers irritability for you, keep an eye on that when you're feeling feelings of depression. Chronic pain is another really big symptom of depression. I get a lot of pain in my shoulders and in my lower back, and even after, you know, trying to massage them out with tennis balls or just stretching, it doesn't help. It just feels just as bad as it was, and that's because your muscles, as you're depressed and as you're getting anxiety symptoms, your muscles are tensing, and so it doesn't matter if you try to work them out, they're still tense and they're not wanting to let go because you are in the middle of those feelings. This one I found to be extremely helpful, and it says that exercise is the greatest thing that you can do when you are depressed. It is a really great kind of like painkiller. It said specifically, if you walk about 30 minutes every day, that will dramatically help. From what I read, if you walk about 30 minutes every day, that will dramatically help your symptoms of depression. And I know for me personally, looking at this, it totally rings bells. When I lived in my previous hometown, there was a lot of places to walk and hike, and I used to just walk for probably about 2 or 3 hours any day off that I had. Even in the evening, I would try to walk a couple of blocks. And I know that for me, I felt so much better after I did that. And it was kind of like an opportunity for me to walk away from whatever I was feeling and to just kind of like experience the world without experiencing what I was feeling in here. And then the last thing is, you do not choose to be depressed. Don't let anybody tell you that you are choosing to be sad and to be upset, because that is completely illogical. Maybe there are people out in the world who are depressed who can say, I'm not going to feel this way anymore and I'm just not going to do it and I'm going to choose to be happy. Maybe there are people that can do that and they can do that successfully. Maybe you can't, and that's totally fine. You are not choosing to be depressed. The thing that we as depressed people choose to do is we choose how we're going to handle it, and that is either to go the exercise route and not do medication and try to just take care of yourself in the best way you can and observe and really take note of those times when you are feeling sad and work towards doing something that'll get your mind off of it until you get through that wave, or you take medication, or you go to the therapist route. You choose how you deal with it. So whatever works for you in working with your depression and trying to get through it is what works for you. But don't let anybody tell you that you're choosing to be depressed. You can choose to not do anything, and you can choose to repress it, and you can choose to pretend like nothing's wrong, and you can choose to act as if everything is totally fine even though inside you do not feel fine, and that is your choice. But you're not choosing to be sad and depressed. You are choosing to not do anything about it. So that is today's video. I hope you guys learned something. It was definitely helpful for me to just be able to talk about all of this. And I will see you guys all again next time. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.